The 7 levels of zombie variants explained. Level 1, mutated zombies. These are the bottom of the barrel for zombie variants. They're pretty much zombies with super soldier serum, except some are grotesque and terrifying like the Lickers. Resident Evil's Lickers lost their skin completely. Every layer peeled back by the T-virus until they're just exposed muscle tissue with claws sharp enough to punch through steel doors. They can't see anymore, but they compensated by developing hearing so accurate it can track your heartbeat through walls. They're gonna die when they hear me on the toilet after chilly night, but they're not the only mutated zombies. The Last of Us Cordyceps creates different stages. Runners are fresh zombies. They're fast and aggressive, but give these runners time and fungal plates grow over their faces, turning them into clickers that hunt purely by sound. Wait longer and you get bloaters, armored in fungal growth so thick that bullets barely penetrate, throwing spore bombs that infect on contact. These zombies are quite strong, but Left 4 Dead developers decided to go the entire opposite direction. Instead of stages, the Green Flu created specialized classes. Tanks have grotesque muscle mass that lets them throw concrete blocks like baseballs and punch through walls. Hunters crouch and pounce, pinning survivors while literally clawing them to death like a monkey. Boomers are walking bile factories that explode on death, covering you in vomit that attracts every zombie in range. Now, the problem with mutated zombies is they keep some human coordination but lose all human limitations. Pain doesn't slow them. They don't get exhausted, and a Licker can even sprint along a ceiling at full speed indefinitely. But these guys follow rules. Lickers and clickers are blind. Tanks are slow. Once you learn the more predictable weaknesses of these guys, you're chilling. Unfortunately, the weaknesses of the next ones are more difficult to learn. Level 2, animal zombies. Level 2 is where you realize the infection doesn't just hit humans, and that's when things get significantly worse. Resident Evil's Cerberus strain hit dogs first. Dobermans kept their pack hunting instincts, their coordination, their speed. Now imagine that, but the dogs are rotting, fearless, and smart enough to flush you out of cover while others circle around. Dogs are already faster than you. Infected dogs that feel no pain and coordinate attacks? You're cooked without a weapon. Days Gone escalated this to a much more insane degree. The Freaker virus doesn't just infect dogs. It infects wolves who hunt in larger packs, and bears become ragers, infected grizzlies that charge through obstacles at full speed. A normal bear is already a 600-pound apex predator that'll probably rip your face off. An infected bear that feels no pain and never stops coming? Good luck with that. These guys are still quite survivable. If you're in an area with no bears or wolves, then likely you have nothing to worry about. Or if you carry a bazooka around with you, though Train to Busan showed an actual nightmare scenario. In the opening, a deer is hit and supposedly killed by a farmer. But this deer wasn't out for the count, and he got up just moments later. This makes the infection much scarier because it's not just humans anymore. Every animal they pass could be infected, making them 100x more dangerous. Every forest, every field, every farm is a potential death trap because nature itself is turning against you. Alright, but what's the real reason animal zombies get placed higher than mutated zombies? Animals kept their natural advantages plus infection benefits. You can outrun a human zombie, or at least outsmart a blind mutated human zombie, but there's no chance you're outrunning a wolf pack, or even outsmarting them, not to mention a whole-ass bear, birds that fly around and spot you from above, or rats live in your walls by the hundreds. But at least animals are still just physical threats you can shoot or hopefully avoid. Level 3 is where shooting stops being enough and your brain becomes the actual target. Level 3, body horror zombies. Level 3 is where the zombie apocalypse stops being about survival and starts being about staying sane while you survive. Dead Space necromorphs aren't reanimated corpses. They are walking nightmare fuel, and are some of the scariest things you could probably see in a zombie apocalypse. The marker doesn't just kill you and bring you back, it looks at your body and thinks, I can make this better at killing. Arms become blade-tipped appendages, legs fuse into crawling tentacles. Your head splits open and reforms as a giant sensory organ. Some necromorphs grow actual bat wings from repurposed human spines and rib cages, but the worst part is that this is intentional design. The marker has goals. It's reshaping corpses into optimal killing forms, and that means every necromorph you see was deliberately crafted that way. You're not fighting random mutations. You're fighting someone's art project, and the canvas was your neighbor. Look at the divider specifically. First of all, whoever designed this needs to see a therapist. It's a necromorph that when you damage it enough, its limbs detach and become independent creatures. You're not fighting one enemy anymore. You're fighting an enemy that multiplies when you hurt it. Shoot it in the arm, and now the arm is chasing you separately. It's like if cancer could run and looked super terrifying. Siren's Shibito takes psychological horror in a completely different direction. They look almost human. Almost. The eyes are empty. They move wrong. They mimic human speech to lure you in, and they set traps that require actual planning. They patrol like they're still doing their jobs from when they were alive, except now they're hunting you while doing it. The terror isn't that they'll kill you, it's that you might not be able to tell who's infected until it's too late. Was that your friend calling for help, or a Shibido imitating their voice? Is that person walking down the street human or infected? You start questioning everything, and that paranoia is the actual weapon. But the perfect example for body horror zombies is clickers. The Last of Us clickers are the perfect example of body horror. Cordyceps fungus consumed their faces. Thick fungal plates grew over where eyes and nose used to be. They can't see, so they click constantly, using echolocation like bats. You can still see the person they used to be underneath the fungal growth, and somehow that makes it worse. Because when you look at a clicker, you're not just seeing a monster. You're seeing what you'll become in a few weeks if you get infected. Your face and body will get consumed. You'll click and hunt your friends. And some part of you might still be aware while it happens. Not gonna lie, my biggest fear for zombies would be being trapped in a zombie-like body with no control. But that's why body horror zombie variants rank so high. The psychological impact would be harder to live with than just having to survive the first 2 levels. At least, these variants are still mostly mindless. They'll kill you, maybe transform you into something horrible, but they won't plan your death. Level 4 changes that completely. Level 4. Intelligent zombies. Level 4 is where zombies stop being obstacles and become opponents. But there's something way worse than intelligence that I'll get to in a second. George Romero's Land of the Dead introduced Big Daddy, and everything about zombie movies changed. He's a zombie who remembers he used to work at a gas station. When he finds a gas pump, he can use it. Big Daddy even learns to use a machine gun, and he leads an army of zombies. What the hell? Most people couldn't even do that, but if one zombie can learn to use tools, what happens when they start teaching each other? A zombie's Live More retains her complete personality and memories. As well, she can gain other people's memories by eating their brains. She's functionally alive, just pale, and needs to eat brains to stay sane. She solves murders by absorbing victims' memories, but that's the manageable version, because at least Liv is a chill zombie and wants to stay hidden. What if intelligent zombies still have superpowers and don't care about hiding? Marvel Zombies answers that question, but there's actually 2 versions of this nightmare, and one is way worse than the other. In the 2025 Disney Plus series, Spider-Man stays human. He's a zombie hunter, fighting the undead horde with webs and gadgets. Episode 3 shows him battling zombie Thanos alongside other survivors. He makes it to the end alive, cracking jokes while everything falls apart around him. That's the optimistic version. The comics don't give you that option. In the original Marvel Zombies from 2005, Spider-Man is one of the first infected. He retains Peter Parker's complete genius, all his powers, his spider sense that warns him when you're about to attack. But now he's hungry, and in the comics, they show you exactly what that means. He eats Aunt May and Mary Jane while feeling guilty about it the entire time. That's the actual horror of intelligent zombies with superpowers. They know what they're doing is wrong, they remember who you are. They might even apologize while they're eating you, but the hunger overrides everything else, and it's not just Spider-Man. Zombie Hulk keeps his strength. Zombie Iron Man keeps his armor and builds new weapons specifically designed to hunt survivors more efficiently. They have strategy, coordination, and powers that put them so far above human capabilities that survival stops being a realistic goal. You can't fight that. You can't even run from that because they're faster, stronger, and smarter than you. But even that's not the worst case scenario. Skyrim's Draugr have had centuries to prepare. Ancient Nordic warriors who don't shamble, they use weapons with actual technique. They shout in the dragon language using Thu'um abilities that blast you across rooms. They set up ambushes and coordinate attacks using military strategies from 1,000 years ago that still work perfectly today. Think about that. These zombies have been in tombs planning defenses since before your country existed. But here's what really makes level 4 terrifying, and it's something most people don't think about until it's too late. Intelligent zombies have the potential to be smarter than you. They can even outpower you. Brian Keene's The Rising features zombies that pick up firearms and aim for headshots because they know that's your weakness. They taunt you while hunting you. They coordinate using actual military tactics. One zombie with a gun is manageable if you're ready. A coordinated group of armed zombies who are actively trying to outsmart you? That's not a survival scenario anymore. That's a war, and you're losing. If you thought level 4 was bad, just know that the next 3 levels are so much worse, you will never guess what's coming. Level 5. Hybrid zombies. Level 5 is where zombies get upgrades. And I'm not talking about naturally evolving upgrades. I'm talking about military-grade technology fused with undead flesh. But the really messed up part isn't the technology itself, it's what happens when you try to kill them. Mass Effect's husks show you exactly what I mean. The Reapers don't just reanimate corpses, they impale impale bodies on these massive obelisk machines called dragon's teeth that inject nanoprobes. Your skin turns into this metallic organic hybrid. You get cybernetic enhancements. What comes off those spikes isn't a zombie anymore. It's a shock trooper that remembers combat tactics and fires energy blasts from its hands. Here's the problem. How do you kill something that's half machine, half corpse? Shoot the organic parts and the machinery keeps it moving. Disable the tech, and the biological components might still function. You need to destroy both simultaneously, which sounds great until you realize you're rationing bullets, and definitely don't have EMP grenades. And husks are just the basic model. Reapers create specialized units. Marauders with shields and rifles, banshees that teleport and warp space. The Reapers aren't reanimating the dead. They're building an army with unit classes like it's a strategy game, except the units are made from your species. Universal Soldier's Unisouls take this concept and make it worse by making it real-world plausible. Dead soldiers brought back through cryogenics and cybernetic enhancement. They retain complete combat training, muscle memory for every weapon, tactical thinking, enhanced strength beyond human limits. They don't feel pain. They don't get tired. They follow orders with robotic precision. Fighting one Unisoul is like fighting a Terminator that used to be human and still knows every trick humans use to survive. And they can be mass-produced from any deceased soldier, which means every military casualty is potential enemy reinforcement. But at least those are human-shaped. Warhammer 40k's servitors show you what happens when you stop caring about keeping the human shape intact. These are lobotomized humans with their higher brain functions surgically removed, then fitted with mechanical augments for specific jobs. Construction servitors get drill arms. Combat servitors get built-in weapons. The person is gone, but the body is still technically alive, creating this meat-machine hybrid that follows programmed commands without question. You can see something that looks human moving with mechanical precision, and your brain short-circuits trying to process it. Do you shoot the mechanical parts, the organic parts, both? And what if destroying one doesn't stop the other? Half-Life's They Hunger mod has Franklin, this cybernetic zombie that's part rotted flesh, part machinery keeping him mobile. He's basically what happens when you try to enhance zombies with technology instead of curing them. Neither half works right, which makes him completely unpredictable. Sometimes the organic side takes over, sometimes the mechanical side. You never know which you're fighting. The real nightmare with techno-zombies is redundancy. Traditional zombies die when you destroy the brain. These things destroy the brain and the cybernetics might keep the body moving. Fry the electronics and the corpse might still be animated. You're fighting two separate entities that happen to share the same space, and you need different solutions for each. At least technology follows rules, even if those rules are complicated. But what if the next level doesn't follow any rules at all? What if we're dealing with zombies that exist outside the laws of physics? Level 6, supernatural zombies. Level 6 is where science stops working and you need to start carrying holy water. But there's a specific type of supernatural zombie that's way scarier than the others, and I'll explain why in a minute. White Zombie from 1932 introduced voodoo zombies as mind-controlled slaves. Bokors use potions to create them, turning victims into mindless servants who follow commands without question. These zombies aren't trying to eat you, they're trying to serve their master, which sounds less dangerous until you realize they're immortal and traditional weapons don't work. The real horror isn't the zombie, it's becoming one. You're not dead, you're trapped in your own body watching yourself obey commands you can't resist. And the only way to break free is finding and killing the Bokor who controls you, which is difficult when you can't control your own actions. Game of Thrones' whites operate on similar principles, but scaled up to army building. The Night King raises the dead with a gesture. Every corpse on the battlefield stands up immediately. They retain enough coordination to use weapons, and cold weather makes them stronger instead of weaker. Here's the strategic nightmare. Every enemy you kill becomes an enemy reinforcement. Win a battle and lose 1,000 soldiers? Congratulations. The Night King just recruited 1,000 fresh troops. You can't win a war of attrition when casualties help your opponent, which is why the only solution was killing the Night King himself. Take out the source, break the connection. But at least whites follow a consistent pattern. The Evil Dead's Deadites don't even give you that courtesy. Deadites are demons possessing corpses and using them like hand puppets. They speak in distorted voices, mocking you while they hunt. They set elaborate traps. They regenerate from damage unless you dismember dismember and burn them. And worst of all, they target your psychological weaknesses, making you see things that aren't there or doubt your own sanity. The practical difference between a zombie and a deadite is minimal when it's trying to kill you, but the methods for stopping them are completely different. Zombies need headshots. Deadites need dismemberment, fire, and sometimes exorcism. Guess wrong about which one you're fighting and you waste ammunition on something that doesn't care about bullets. Sirens Shibido are supernatural cursed beings achieving immortality through dark rituals. They maintain routine mimicry, acting out their jobs from when they were alive while hunting survivors. Their voices distort into this audio horror that makes your skin crawl. Later stages mutate into spider-like forms because apparently regular supernatural zombies weren't enough. The key trait is they're trapped in a loop, repeating patterns from life while slowly transforming into increasingly inhuman shapes. That gradual corruption combined with immortality, unless ritually destroyed, means conventional weapons are decorative at best. REC from 2007 does something genuinely clever by blending both. The infection originates from a demonic enzyme that mutated into a transmissible virus, so it spreads through bites like a disease, but it's ultimately supernatural in origin. Religious items slow them down, prayers offer temporary protection, but bites still spread infection like a biological agent. You're dealing with something that follows viral transmission rules, but requires spiritual warfare to actually stop. How do you prepare for that? Do you stockpile ammunition or learn Latin prayers? The answer is both, which is impossible when you're rationing everything. Here's what makes supernatural zombies genuinely terrifying. Unreliable countermeasures. Biological zombies? Destroy the brain. Technological zombies? Disable both organic and mechanical components. Supernatural zombies? Maybe fireworks. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you need specific religious artifacts. Maybe those artifacts only work if you believe hard enough. Maybe the zombie is immune to physical damage entirely, and you need to find its phylactery or defeat the necromancer or perform a ritual you don't know. The uncertainty is the weapon. You can't plan for threats when the rules change based on which demon is possessing the corpse or which dark god animated it or whether the moon is full. But supernatural zombies are still individuals. Each one is its own entity with its own weaknesses. What if the next level removes that individuality entirely? What if you're not fighting zombies anymore? You're fighting a single organism with millions of bodies? Level 7. Hive mind zombies. Level 7 isn't a zombie apocalypse. It's fighting a distributed superintelligence that treats human bodies like disposable hardware. And the worst part isn't how dangerous it is, it's realizing survival was never an option. Halo's flood doesn't infect people, it absorbs them into a collective consciousness spanning galaxies. Combat forms retain host memories and skills. An infected Marine still knows how to aim an assault rifle. An infected elite remembers energy sword combat. But they're not individuals anymore. They're extensions of something billions of years old that's consumed entire civilizations. Pure forms show you what the flood actually is. These aren't infected hosts. They're purpose-built creatures manufactured by the flood in real time to counter your tactics. You're using cover? Flood creates rankers for long-range attacks. You're rushing? Flood spawns tanks for frontal assault. It's adapting faster than you can, building custom units on the fly. Then there's the Gravemind, this massive entity formed from billions of corpses that speaks in philosophical poetry while coordinating galaxy-wide infection. It doesn't want to kill you. It wants to absorb you, add your knowledge to itself, make you part of something that will eventually consume all sentient life in the universe. And here's the part that should terrify you. Halo's solution to the flood was activating super weapons that killed all sentient life in the galaxy. Not defeated the flood, just killed everyone to starve it. The flood didn't lose. Everyone else committed collective suicide to deny it biomass. That's not winning, that's choosing how you die. Dead Space's necromorphs work similarly, but the endgame is somehow worse. Individual necromorphs seem independent, but they're being coordinated by markers, alien artifacts that telepathically guide infected behavior while causing hallucinations in living humans. The markers manipulate you into building more markers, which create more necromorphs, which convert more biomass into the system. Then you learn about convergence and realize the markers aren't the threat, they're seeds. When enough biomass converts in an area, convergence triggers, fusing all necromorphs into a brethren moon, a living planet made of trillions of corpses that exists partially outside normal spacetime. Brethren moons don't fight you, they farm you. Humanity isn't an enemy to defeat. We're livestock being cultivated. Every person who dies feeds the moon. Every civilization that reaches space travel gets targeted for harvest. It's been happening for millions of years across the universe, and we're just the latest crop in an eternal cycle. The Last of Us shows this concept on a smaller but still horrifying scale. Cordyceps spreads through spores and bites, but infected don't act randomly. Runners chase you towards stalker ambush positions. Stalkers herd you into clicker zones. Clickers guard bloaters. The fungus coordinates hunts through spore communication, and every infected creature is a node in that network. Real Cordyceps does this in nature, controlling ant colonies by infecting multiple members and coordinating their behavior through chemical signals. The Last of Us scaled it to humans. Your body moves and acts, but serves the fungus's reproductive goals, not yours. You're still in there somewhere, watching yourself hunt your friends while clicking away any humanity you had left. Doctor Who's Empty Child demonstrates hive coordination through nanogene connection. Medical nanogenes misidentified gas mask-wearing corpses as the correct human template. Now they're converting living humans to match, fusing gas masks to faces, making everyone ask, "Are you my mummy?" in synchronized creepy child voices. The horror is the nanogenes think they're helping. They're medical devices trying to heal humans by standardizing them to match the template. The hive emerges from machines communicating to coordinate healing. Every infected person joins the healing network, spreading the cure by touch. It's not malicious, it's medicine gone wrong, and that somehow makes it worse. Star Trek's Borg are the classic comparison. Cybernetic assimilation, collective consciousness. We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile, and that phrase is literally accurate. Not because you can't fight, but because fighting teaches the Borg how to fight you better, and they share that knowledge instantly across the entire collective. Every tactic you use works once. Every weapon you deploy gets adapted to within minutes. You're not fighting an army. You're fighting a single opponent with millions of bodies that learns from every encounter and never forgets. Kill 1,000 Borg drones, and the collective learns from how those 1,000 died, then counters your method for the next wave. The Flood in Doctor Who's The Waters of Mars operates as waterborne infection overriding personalities for collective spread. Infected humans maintain speech and intelligence, but serve the Flood's goal of reaching Earth. They coordinate, they plan, they sacrifice individual units for strategic objectives, because those units aren't individuals anymore. They're the Flood, wearing human shapes. Here's why Level 7 is fundamentally unsurvivable, and why it's placed at the top. You're not fighting zombies. Zombies are discrete threats you can kill one at a time. Hive minds are distributed superintelligences treating bodies as disposable neurons in a vast consciousness. Kill one unit? Meaningless. The hive loses one neuron out of billions. That unit's death just provides data about what killed it. Every tactic you use, the hive learns from and shares instantly across the network. Every hiding spot you find gets cataloged. Every weakness you exploit gets patched in real time across millions of bodies simultaneously. You can't win wars of attrition when your opponent recruits from both sides' casualties. You can't outsmart something that shares knowledge faster than you can think. You can't hide from something with millions of eyes that never blinks and never forgets. The only solution to hive mind zombies is what Halo did. Complete eradication of all biomass. Sterilize the planet. Kill everything. That's not survival. That's choosing your extinction method. You don't beat the hive. You deny it resources by dying first, and hope that denial slows it enough for someone else, somewhere else, to maybe have a chance. That is the 7 levels of zombies variants. If you enjoyed and want to see the 7 levels of zombie apocalypses, click now to see it.